The psychology of people who treat their birthday like a normal day. It's your birthday. You wake up, check your phone, see a bunch of notifications, and you just go about your day like it's any other Tuesday. No cake, no party, no big deal. Meanwhile, your friends are losing their minds trying to figure out why you're not celebrating. Sound familiar? If you're like this or know someone who treats their birthday like it's just another day on the calendar, you should know that this is probably way more common than you thought. And contrary to what some people might think, there's some pretty interesting psychology behind why you do this. The anti-celebration crowd. First off, let's be clear that not caring about your birthday doesn't actually make you a pessimist or a party pooper. The truth is far simpler. Not everyone registers this day as significant. And honestly, that's a completely valid way to feel. Some people get hyped about their birthday months in advance. They're planning the outfit, the venue, the guest list, the whole production. But for others, the day comes and goes without much fanfare. And that's perfectly fine. Different strokes for different folks, right? The attention factor. Although, there is this one thing that a lot of birthday avoiders have in common. They really, really don't like being the center of attention. Think about what birthdays typically involve. Everyone's looking at you, singing at you, watching you blow out candles, expecting you to be extra happy and grateful and performative. If you have a friend who is naturally introverted, or just someone who prefers to fly under the radar, keep in mind that all that attention can feel suffocating for them. And it's not that they don't appreciate you caring for them. We know you do. They know you do. But they would probably rather like it if you showed it, well, more privately. There's even research showing that introverts process rewards differently than extroverts. Their brains are literally wired to prefer less stimulation. And let's not forget about the spotlight effect. That's the psychological phenomenon where people think everyone is paying way more attention to them than they actually are. And on their birthday? Well, people actually are paying attention, which can feel like a worst fear coming true. The pressure is real. This brings us to expectations. Birthdays come with this weird, invisible pressure to have the best day ever. You're supposed to feel special, blessed, grateful, and ecstatically happy all at once. You're supposed to post about it, celebrate it, make it memorable. And if you don't, people start asking if you're okay, like something must be wrong. But here's the reality. Most days are just days. Even birthdays. You still have to go to work, pay bills, deal with traffic, answer those emails. The world doesn't stop spinning just because you completed another trip around the sun. For some people, the gap between what a birthday is supposed to be and what it actually is just feels too wide. So instead of setting themselves up for potential disappointment, they opt out entirely. No expectations means no letdown. When you think about it, it's actually a pretty smart psychological defense mechanism. What's more, it ties into something psychologists call defensive pessimism, which basically comes down to managing anxiety by lowering expectations. In plain terms, if you don't expect your birthday to be special, you can't be disappointed when it turns out to be just another day. The morality thing. Okay, this one might sound a bit dark, but stick with me. Every birthday is technically a reminder that you're getting older. And while some people embrace that, others find it kind of uncomfortable. Not necessarily in a, oh no, I'm aging vanity way, but more in an existential, wow, time is passing, and what am I even doing with my life way? Birthdays force you to take stock. Another year gone. What did you accomplish? Are you where you thought you'd be? Did you hit those goals you set last year? Now imagine being naturally prone to overthinking or self-criticism and a whole spiral of reflection that you can't control. Not fun, guys. Not fun. It's what we call birthday blues or birthday depression, and it's a real thing that affects a surprising number of people. But the drudgery doesn't stop here. Birthdays are mile markers on the road to death, if we're being blunt about it. Each one is a reminder that your time here is limited. And then there's the whole aging thing in a culture that's obsessed with youth. Especially once you hit certain milestone ages, birthdays can feel less like celebrations and more like mourning sessions for your younger self. Why would you want to celebrate getting older in a society that treats aging like a disease? The authenticity angle. Now let's get back on the bright side. If you have a friend who doesn't celebrate their birthdays, you know they are huge on authenticity. Think about it. How many of those birthday wishes on social media are genuine? How many people are reaching out because they actually care versus those who did it because, well, Facebook reminded them? I think we can all agree that there is something kind of hollow about getting 50 happy birthday messages from people you haven't talked to in years. This ties into a broader personality trait that psychologists call low self-monitoring. People who are low self-monitors tend to be less concerned with social expectations and more focused on being true to themselves. You're not going to do anything, let alone celebrate your birthday just because society says you should. It's your day. Control and autonomy. There's also a control element worth exploring here. When you make a big deal of your birthday, you're kind of at the mercy of other people. Will they remember? Will they plan something? Will it be good? Will they embarrass you? There are so many variables outside your control. But when you treat it like a normal day, you're in charge. You decide what happens. You're not waiting for anyone else to make you feel special or disappointed when they don't meet your expectations. It's a way of maintaining autonomy over your own experience. This approach makes total sense. Why hand over the reins of your happiness to other people's ability to celebrate you correctly? This is especially true for people who have experienced birthday disappointments in the past. Past birthday trauma. When birthdays are associated with negative emotions or memories, it makes total sense to just not engage with them. There aren't many people on this planet who would voluntarily trigger difficult feelings for themselves. For those who grew up in dysfunctional families, birthdays might have been sources of stress more often than not. Fighting, expectations which were impossible to meet, the day overshadowed by family drama. Early experiences like these shape how you feel about your birthdays for the rest of your life. Loss can be another big factor. If someone important died around your birthday, or if your birthday reminds you of someone who's no longer in your life, it could take years before you move on. But in most cases, even then, party simply isn't an option. The privilege perspective. On the other hand, some people don't celebrate their birthdays because they feel weird about celebrating themselves when so many people are struggling. This is especially common among people who are naturally empathetic or who have a strong social consciousness. They look around at everything going on in the world, and celebrating the fact that they were born just feels off. They know that while they're blowing out candles on a cake, millions of people don't have enough to eat. While they're opening presents, others are struggling to survive. The contrast feels too stark to ignore, and celebrating their own existence in the face of that suffering feels tone-deaf. So instead of celebrating, they donate to charity, volunteer, or use the day to do something meaningful for others. Yes, exactly like Keanu Reeves. The minimalist mindset. Speaking of him, he is just one among the significant number of people that values minimalism in all areas of life. We all know someone who is decluttering their home, simplifying their schedule, and cutting out anything that feels excessive or unnecessary, including birthday parties or even weddings. It all comes down to intentionality. These people usually question everything. It's in their nature to do it. Why do we celebrate birthdays? What value does it add? Is this tradition serving me, or am I serving the tradition? If the answers don't satisfy them, they let it go. This often extends to gift giving too. Minimalists don't want more stuff cluttering their lives, and they don't want to burden others with the obligation to buy them things. The high achiever paradox. And here's something that might come as a surprise. A lot of people who skip their birthdays are high achievers. And yes, there is a psychological reason for this. High achievers tend to be perfectionists, and perfectionists are notoriously hard on themselves. When your birthday rolls around, it becomes this annual performance review where you're the harshest critic. They often struggle with what psychologists call achievement orientation. They derive their sense of worth from accomplishments, not from arbitrary milestones like completing another year of existence. A birthday isn't something you worked for. You didn't hustle for it. You didn't earn it. So why celebrate? Plus, taking a whole day off to celebrate yourself can feel indulgent when you've got goals to hit and things to accomplish. Time is valuable, and spending it on birthday festivities feels wasteful when you could be making progress on something meaningful. The personality type connection. If we're talking personality types, people who treat birthdays like normal days tend to cluster around certain traits. And understanding this can explain a lot of things. In the Myers-Briggs world, there are specific personality traits that are notorious for birthday indifference, and they're mostly what we call the NT types, the logical analytical thinkers. We're talking about INTJs and INTPs especially. INTJs are considered the personality type least inclined to want any kind of celebration. These are the strategic, forward-thinking people who prefer to be acknowledged for their accomplishments and ideas. Plus, INTJs really hate the social protocol of gift-giving. Many of them openly say they wish we could just do away with the whole gift aspect of birthdays and holidays entirely. If they want something, they'll research it thoroughly, read reviews, and buy it themselves. They don't maintain a wish list for special occasions, which leaves their loved ones confused and frustrated. INTPs are similar, but for slightly different reasons. These are the deep thinkers, the philosophers, the people who live in their own heads. For them, birthday celebrations that involve constant social interaction and pointless small talk feel overwhelming and exhausting. They feel this intense pressure to perform, to act happy, to be grateful, to respond in socially appropriate ways. INTPs also struggle with the obligation aspect. When someone gives them a gift, they feel obligated to reciprocate, which creates this uncomfortable cycle of forced social exchange. What does it all mean? At the end of the day, how you feel about your birthday says a lot about your personality, your values, and how you move through the world. But it doesn't make you better or worse than anyone else. If you love throwing big birthday bashes, that's awesome. If you prefer to spend the day alone reading a book, that's equally awesome. If you want to acknowledge it quietly with just your closest people, great. If you literally forgot it's your birthday until someone reminds you, also fine. What matters is that you're making choices that feel right for you, not just going along with what everyone else expects. The bottom line. Remember, if you're someone who treats your birthday like a normal day, you're not broken. You're not antisocial. You're not missing out on some essential human experience. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to navigate this weird experience called life in whatever way makes sense to us. Whether that includes birthday cake or not is really up to you. Feel free to share your opinion about birthday parties in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel if you want to learn more about human psychology. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.